Okay, so this is notes number 10, and it is decimal place value. So the first thing I would like you to do is write about 4 lines down in the middle, draw a decimal. Then I want you to turn your paper 90 degrees to the right. Okay? So let's start with spaces that we would have to the left of the decimal, and these are going to be our whole numbers. So, anybody, what is that first slot called? Hundreds, thousands, tens, ones, what would that be? Yeah. Ones, right? So these are our ones. Good. What about the next space over? Now tens. Then what? What are we doing with those numbers every time? Multiplying by 10. We're multiplying by 10 every time. What's the next one? Thousands, right? And then what would it be? Multiply it by 10. If you have 1,000 and you multiply it by 10, what do you have? If you have 1,000 and you multiply it by 10, 10,000s. Good. Okay, and we could keep going that whole time, but what we're really doing, now I want you to, everybody have that? Now flip it back down like you had it. So really what this is 1 would just be 1 over 1. How can I write 10 as a fraction? 10 over 1. What about 100? Oops. How can I write 100 as a fraction? Anybody? 100 over 1. Good, Sean. Okay. Thousands would be 1,000 over 1. 10,000 over 1. All we're doing is multiplying by 10 every time, right? Every place value we go to the left is increasing by 10 times that amount. So this right side of the decimal is what tends to get everybody kind of off kilter a little bit. So since I'm on the right side now, these are my whole numbers on the left, right? And these are really my partial numbers or my fractions. And yes, decimals and fractions are closely related. Okay, so if I'm going on the opposite side of the decimal, it probably has opposite behavior. So what's the reciprocal of 10 over 1, Rachel? What's the reciprocal of 1 over 10? Good. What do you think would come next? Sophia, what do you think would come in the space next? 1 over 100. Good. Marisol, what about the next space? 1 over 1,000. Good. And then, Michaela, what about the next one? 1 over 10,000. Good. Okay. So one of the questions that usually comes up with decimals is why is this one to the right not the 1th space, right? But really your 1 space can only happen once. What's the reciprocal of 1 over 1? 1 over 1 is the same thing, right? So now I want you to turn your book back sideways again. So everything that's to the right of the decimal is going to have TH at the end because it's a partial amount. Okay, so how do I say 1 over 10 in words? How do I say that? 1/10. Good. So these are tenths. Then next we would have hundredths. Thousandths. 10,000ths. And you could keep going forever and ever. There's no limit. Caught up? How's that? All right, so let's just look at some numbers now. So whole numbers are pretty easy, right? If we have 347, how can I write that in words? Eliseo, how do I write that in words? 347. Tell me what that number is. If I give you the numbers 347, how much is that? Tell me how much that is. So how do I say that in words? 347, right? Okay. So the decimals are usually what the issue are, not usually the whole numbers. Whole numbers are usually okay. So what if I have 0.549? Emily. So, and here's the easiest way. I want you to change that into a fraction first. And here's the easiest way to do the fraction. Okay? You're always going to start the bottom denominator. That's kind of redundant. The denominator with a 1. Okay? And then how many spaces do you have to the right of the decimal? 3. That's how many zeros we're going to add. Easy, right? Okay. And then what number is going to go on top? 549. So how do you say that number in words now? Or just thousands, right? So that would be 549 thousandths. Okay. It's a really common mistake to say that that's 549 hundredths. But is that true? Because 549 hundredths would actually be 5.49, right? You have more than 100, so now you're up into whole numbers. Okay. Let's see. So, let me give you a number. What number is in the tens place? Mark, what number is in the tens place? Where's the tens? That's the tens? That's the tenths. Close. What about the tens? So everybody remember that anything that ends with an S is going to be on the left of the decimal. Anything that ends with a THS is going to be on the right of the decimal. So Mark, there's tens right there up there. Where is it down here? The 3. There you go. What number is in the hundredths place? Dylan. So let's check that and see. So remember the 8, right? Good. How'd you correct that? How did you check yourself on that? Good. Because any of these numbers I could, and if I used my way that I told you earlier, so I've got a 0, 8, I'm always going to start the denominator with a 1. And then how many spaces is it to the right of the decimal? 2, right? And that's how many zeros I add. It's a really easy way to check your spacing and what space you're at. What number is in the tenth